Alright, riders and learners, so today we're doing a install video, not necessarily a how-to video, but an install video of the DNA air filter and really the servicing and the refreshing of it. So let's pop into it. For me, I have the MK Designs side panel, so that's going to look differently. If you have the stock ones, it's just going to be a different setup. With those, I have 2 hex bolts that I have to take out and wiggle it on out to access the air filter. As you can see, I already have the filter. I've installed it almost a year ago with 3 Phillips screws in there. It also has a stage 2 panel in there as well to keep it in place and to increase the airflow. So if you're interested in getting that, you should definitely do it. I think it's worth it. That's just my standpoint. If you're looking to, for a little bit more performance, we can hit me up in the comments and we could talk a little bit about that. But in order to refresh it or even to install it, you're going to need that. But to refresh it, you're going to have to take those off. Just a simple Phillips screwdriver. You don't really need a whole lot of tools for this install. You really probably just need the kit that they give you, and I got that one on Hitchcocks over there in the UK, and really just a Phillips screwdriver. So that really holds it into place. There's many different variations of it, and you could also still use the airflow, the high airflow filter with the stock plate. You're just not going to get as much airflow. So when you take it out, I should have worn gloves during this part, but I ended up wearing gloves for the cleaning and the oiling that ends up happening later. So my bike right now is about I think I got it at 5,000 to 6,000 miles, and in about a year or so I think it's at 16,000 right now. So it's due for a cleaning, and when I inspected it, there wasn't a whole lot in there. There are like a few probably metal pieces, but not much. So they give you a cleaning solution and an oiling solution. So this opening was a little bit tricky because it's not the cutting of the tip, which you'll find later, but it's not an easy. It's secured with like a plastic covering. It's kind of glued on, and so I had to use pliers to take it out in order to really. Actually, I had to puncture it first and then maneuver it off the bottle. So it's the same thing for both, really. It's cutting the tip off and removing that piece that's there in order to access the solution. And as you can see, I have those gardening gloves that do not fit my hands whatsoever. Now you probably want to use, as you're doing this, probably some sort of container, but I couldn't find one at the time that I could afford to destroy with cleaning and oil solution. So first I just brushed anything that was off there. I didn't have much, it didn't look really dirty, but after 10,000 miles I wasn't going to play around with it. So, end up cutting the tip off there, and the instructions tell you really you should, when you see that it's kind of dripping, soaked, that's how you know you have enough cleaning solution in it. And another one of the telltale signs is if you notice the color change from that magenta-ish color to clear, I wouldn't say blue, but it's, it looks like it is a grayish tint to it, meaning that the oil is kind of all washed out. You've really accomplished the goal. And once you've done this, and after a certain amount of time, you've soaked it enough with that solution, and you brush it off some more. Depending on the type of riding you do, you may have more debris in your air filter than some others. I'm just doing street riding in Durham, Raleigh, a few long trips, but nothing that's going to have the air filter covered. I'm like, if you're doing a lot of off-roading, or you're in different other locations that may kick up more debris into the air vent and all that, the air box, then that's something you may want to think about when you're cleaning it out. But I didn't really have a lot going on there. It was just due for a change. And after this, you just make sure it's clean. There's no metal pieces, rocks, any sort of road debris. And then you just gotta let it sit and dry in open air for a little bit of time. There's a specific set of time that they gave. I mean, probably an hour is fine. The sun was out. So I just left it on the car outside in the sun, and it dried pretty easily. Alright, so after it's dried, again, you can see the color difference there, right? It's all gray. It's had a chance to dry. It's fully cleaned out. And you end up actually, before this step, I didn't show in the kitchen, actually I was rinsing it out. You actually have to rinse out the solution after that. So really it's under some water, rinse it out, and then once you finish rinsing that out, you will have to dry it. So quick amendment to what I was saying before. Make sure you rinse it out, you rinse out the solution, and then you let it dry. I let it dry in a car, and when it's finished drying, you bring it back out and use the oiling solution here. So they tell you in the instructions that you really try and do straight lines along the creases. This was, pretty easy to do. It may take you a couple passovers to make sure you get it in all of the creases evenly. Something I did was I went through every crease pretty slowly, and then I would go back over it again. And after I actually gave it some time to wait, so after one set through, I ended up putting it on the one side of the filter and letting it sit for a little bit. And then when I did another pass through, I actually ended up turning it over. So it was able to travel down on one side, and then after a second pass through, it was able to travel back down the other way by flipping it over. So that's just something I did. Remember, because I actually said this in the wrong order, after you put the cleaning solution in, you do need to wash it off under some water, under a faucet. That was pretty easy. You just have to wash the cleaning solution out. If your air filter is very dirty from whatever y'all were doing, type of roads you're on, that may take more time. But mine wasn't extremely dirty, and so that was a quick process. They also talked about how even if let's say you over oil it, it's not going to be a big issue. That will actually come out as you ride within the first 10 to 30 miles. So I let that sit. You probably do want a container. I did not have one, and so here's the flip over. So after letting it dry for about over an hour, you just put it in, and that's it. So not much to do there. Again, if you have any comments or wonderings about the DNA filter or airflow filters, I can share my experiences with it, and we'll talk again soon.